Welcome back, everybody, and today we're taking a look at the third film in the Into the Forest Folktales at DEFA box set from Eureka, and it is 1960s Rumpelstiltskin. So this is directed by Erwin Anders and Christoph Engel, who haven't done any other feature film efforts before or since this one, and it is a fantasy film, again, like all the other ones in this one. Clocks in at 72 minutes long, and it's about and I haven't seen any of the cast in anything before, unfortunately. But that said, a boastful miller pretends his daughter Marie can spin straw into gold, and so she is locked into a room full of straw in order to spin it into gold by the next morning. A little man appears and offers his help in exchange for Marie's necklace. The greedy treasurer makes Marie spin twice more until the only thing she has left to give the little man is the promise of her firstborn child 1 year later. So this is currently my favourite from this box set, as there is overall a good mix between its fantasy element and a plot that is reasonably complex, whereas the previous film had a good fantasy element to it but a really rather basic plot. And then the first film, the fantasy element was really rather quite slight to the plot overall, but it did have a complex enough plot. So this is basically a combination between the best of both worlds from the prior two films. The cast is also good, the pacing is on point, the look of the film is once again great, with really rather nice looking costumes, sets, and the colour palette in particular all really standing out. The production overall is an improvement over the previous film as well, because even though obviously this doesn't have any kind of creatures in this, like that fish that was in the previous film, um, there is at the end of the day better looking sets, no use of overly or egregious matte paintings or anything like that, and there's a far larger cast as well, not just in terms of the people that are leading the leading cast, but also in terms of extras as well. So yeah, definitely feels like a more complete film. And it's overall generally engaging. It features some worthy themes, and the conclusion is also satisfying as well. So, yeah, like I said, this is my favourite of this box set so far, and it gets a very healthy 4 out of 5. Quite frankly, I was expecting this box set to all be pretty much about the same, but really, really am surprised that this is turned out to be better than the previous two. Not by a massive margin by any means, and at the end of the day, I didn't hate either of those two films from before, but yeah, this just feels like a more complete effort overall. Even if on the whole, it's probably a little bit more orientated towards a family audience, because there's not much in the way of peril. There's no fighting or anything like that, but ultimately it's still pretty good. So this shares the second disc with the next film we'll be looking at, which is Little Red Riding Hood. And yeah, like all the other films of this box set, it's got new artwork by Carly AF. Also has a 1080p HD presentation from a restoration by the DEFA Foundation. I will say this, I think this looks like the best of the three so far in terms of the restoration work. Maybe it's just, because it's a slightly newer film, but yeah, it does look, on the whole, a much better film than the other ones. You also got optional English subtitles, newly translated for this release, although there is no English language soundtrack like there was for the Singing Ringing Tree. And then we also have a new audio commentary on the film by Samuel Goff, editorial director for Classici and host of the Classici Kino Club podcast. And that is the only one that is specific to this film overall. So yeah, a really, really solid effort, and one that, quite frankly, I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. Now, I have no idea how faithful this is to the Brothers Grimm tale, because I'm not overly familiar with Rumpelstiltskin outside of I think it was Shrek 4. I think he was in as well. So yeah, I'm not overly familiar with that the character in terms of the original folk tale, but still a really, really worthy effort, and one that I found to be highly enjoyable. So yeah, well worth seeing if you haven't already. And yeah, overall, this box set is turning up to be a much better one than the previous Eureka box set, which was the Adventure Calls one. The was it Karl-May at CCC? Yeah, Karl-May at CCC box set, which was a real roller coaster in terms of quality, starting off on a high and then going low and then up and again. Whereas this is staying at a really, really consistent and satisfying level overall. But this, at the end of the day, does slightly improve on the previous two films. So yeah, looking forward to the next two. Like I said, Little Red Riding Hood is the next one, and then we'll also have the final film, which is The Devil's Three Golden Hairs, which is the longest of the 5. But nonetheless, thank you for watching. If you have seen Rumpelstiltskin before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.